This guy's special. When he gets the ball in his hand, he's an NFL player. He's ready to play at the next level.
Never thought I would get this far, but I guess I live for the moment. People watching my every move, but for now I stay frozen.
To the corner, to the end zone. Touchdown, Arizona.
Cowing is having himself a welcoming party to the Pac-12.
Throws to the end zone. Cowing! Touchdown!
I'm rising up, you can't keep me down. I'm rising up, you can't keep me down. I'm rising up, you can't keep me down. I'm rising up, you can't keep me down.
Gosh, that's a great question. I don't know if I've ever been asked that. Like, what is the it factor?
The It Factory is back for season 2. Last season, we explored what the It Factory is, who has it, and how they got it. This season, we still seek to answer the same questions, but with a new cast of characters. We take the helmet off some of the new faces in the Conference of Champions, and some familiar faces as well. Players, coaches, and experts will explore what it is that sets them up for success on Saturdays. I'm Yogi Roth, and welcome back to the It Factory. Okay, welcome back or welcome to the It Factory. I'm your host, Yogi Roth. We are presented by Zayo. And man, it's hard to believe where we are in the season. You got an idea who your teams are. You have an idea who the players are. And we know where the stories are. So we punch out to Tucson, Arizona today to bring in Jacob Cowing, the all-everything wide receiver, transferred. He's a few games, halfway season in to Jedfish and his program, and he is thriving on the field. But the reason we brought you in, Jacob, is because of who you are in all facets of your life. So welcome to our show, man.
I appreciate it. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, of course. So where are you right now? Because this backdrop's pretty dope.
Yeah, so right now, it's kind of a new thing that Coach Fish put in this season. It's called the fifth quarter room. It kind of gives the opportunity for guys on the team to kind of think outside the box. I feel like sometimes athletes kind of just get into this tunnel vision of, just football. And it's kind of a time where we kind of get to come in here for like an hour, maybe 45 minutes sometimes, kind of think about certain things, maybe things to do after football, or kind of deeper into kind of finding who you truly are as a person, what kind of hobbies you like. So it's just kind of giving the opportunity to kind of learn a little bit more about your teammates as well. So it's just a great opportunity that Coach Fish kind of was able to put this room together for us as teammates kind of bond a little bit better.
All right. So what's your top bonding story or something you learned about yourself from spending time in that room?
I would say the number one thing, it was like a thing that we did on like these whiteboards, and it was like name or put write something down, like kind of like one word that describes you, and everyone wrote down a word, and mine I put just humble. And I remember ever since I was growing up, my kids would always just put it in me, like, you got to be humble with anything that you do in life. And just seeing other people's words that they put down, it was kind of different what everyone kind of put down, which kind of made it unique, and kind of have a different perspective on other people and like that one word that they use for themselves.
Wow, humble. I love that. All right. So how did you, when you look back on your path, like you said you heard that word a lot, but how would you define humility? How do you hope that you showcase humility in your life?
I would say for me, what my parents kind of grew me up thinking is just don't talk the talk, walk the walk, and just kind of show people, by actions, not by what you say. And that's something that I kind of carried with myself ever since I was maybe like 5-6 years old, when I kind of really understood what they were trying to say a little bit. So that's definitely number one thing that I would say about that, for sure.
Wow, since you were 5 or 6 years old.
Yeah.
Dang, man.
Yeah.
Do you have like a vivid memory of the first time that you were told, like, hey, actions speak louder than words?
Yeah, it was after, it was when I first started playing flag football, and we lost, and I had a really bad attitude after the game. And my parents took me aside. I was like, you can't do that, this, and that, because everyone's watching you, and this, and that. So as you get older, you just gotta remember in your head, like, just be humble. Don't act out. Like, just kind of think about it, slow down a little bit, and then just be humble about it and learn from your mistakes and just go from there and just move forward.
Okay, I love that. I'm gonna take that into my repertoire as a father for sure. So when that room opened up, I was lucky that Jed kind of gave me a tour last
Yeah.
year. I came out in spring ball when I was able to connect with you, and I got one of these pieces of paper that I've kept near my desk, and it's a bunch of really cool questions. So I want to ask you one of them because they all stand out. But I'm curious for you when I ask you one of these questions, and you might be able to give us a little bit more insight into it when I read it.
Okay.
But here's my favorite question for you. It's about the leadership weave. And it says, what are your top 3 competencies? And what are your top 3 leadership traits? For you, you're a leader of this program on a bunch of levels with a bunch of young dudes as well.
Yeah.
You're a father that's been well documented. How would you categorize the 3 competencies for yourself?
For me, for myself, I mean, I like to kind of be that teammate that's there for everybody if they're going through something. I know when I first got to college back in my old school, I was going through a lot of stuff, and just having those teammates that were there for me kind of took me underneath their wing, and I saw how that can transform someone's life, and I wanted to do that to other people. So as my college career went, I did that for other incoming freshmen who were kind of going through. I mean, it's hard coming from high school to college, just kind of thrown into the mix. So it's a little bit difficult. So just being there for people, and also just, like I said before, just leading by example. I'm not much of a talker. I'm more of like a, just kind of show by example kind of a guy. And that's just like pretty much all what I've just been embedded in me ever since I was a little kid. Just, be there for others, show, people the right way of doing things, not by just talking about it. And I would say those are the number 2 things that I would definitely say that I would like to, carry on to other people, to bring in, other freshmen that come into college, one day, and not make them feel like they're alone by themselves.
Yeah, that's well said. I don't know. Tell me if you think I'm accurate here, but I feel like a major trait for you is that you always show up.
Mm-hmm.
Like I would bet you've always shown up for your friends. You clearly have shown up for your own personal family and your son. Would like T-Mac say that, hey, this dude shows up? Would you say that that's an accurate reflection of just an observation from me?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, if you're a teammate of mine, if you're family, whatever, friend, if you need anything, like I know everyone pretty much knows, like don't hesitate to hit me up. I'm just a phone call, a text away, and I'll make sure that I'm there to help you out in anything that you need. And a lot of people know that.
Yeah, that's cool. All right, so I love that, right? Words and actions. You're all about, actions. You love to show up as a teammate.
Yeah.
But I got to imagine you have this competitive fire
Oh, yeah.
that you probably may not talk about a lot. I'd love to unearth that because you're a guy who it was UTEP, Youngstown State, and Colorado Pueblo, where those like your 3 options coming out of high school, and you chose UTEP. So like, what's that fire like in your belly, and what was it like when you were coming out?
Yeah, coming out of high school, it was just, honestly, it was just a huge, like punch in the face that a lot of colleges, Power 5 schools just kind of didn't want to take a chance on me. So I used that as a chip on my shoulder, and I was like, okay, well, here are my 3 options. Let me pick, UTEP, because I mean, it's kind of close to home. My family is maybe 5-6 hours away from me. I have a kid on the way too, so I don't want to go too far. But just when I was at UTEP the whole time for those 3 years, those 3 seasons, I just wanted to prove everyone wrong that doubted me when I was coming out of high school. So I think honestly, me having a kid and then me just being doubted by all those schools really put that competitive fire in me to get where I'm at today.
Yeah. Okay, so you start to thrive, right? And I love this dialogue, right? You start to thrive and you are, let's just say, use your words, you're proving everybody wrong. You're proving all the haters wrong. You get to a point. Does that get exhausting, proving people wrong? Like, does it ever flip to like proving yourself right? Or is that still the chip on your shoulder where you're like, I'm going to prove everybody who didn't offer me wrong?
Yeah, that never gets old for me, ever, never, ever. I mean, I could say that, okay, I've proven everyone that, I can do it. I can say that, but still just having that disrespect that all that negativity that I got for me playing Pop Warner football when I was 7, 8 years old, and that certain teams didn't want to pick me because I was too small, and certain colleges didn't want to go with me because I'm too small, and I still feel like people still think that I'm too small, and I just keep using that as a chip on my shoulder, and that kind of just reminds me to keep working as hard as I can and get where I want to be, which is the NFL one day.
Yeah, it's amazing like what memory does to us. Like I can remember I told our oldest son this the other day. I was 6 years old and I was the last pick on the schoolyard in basketball. And I remember that summer being like, I'm gonna work all summer long and I'll never be the last guy picked.
Yeah.
Like at 6 years old, I can recall that like yesterday.
Exactly, yeah. It happens. It happens. That's exactly how I was. The same thing. I was picked last because I was just too small.
Good mic up today. 2 is really not that fast, though.
I would beat you in the
2
race.
is not fast.
Hey, mama, how you doing?
All right, wait to the camera.
Fun fact about me and Jacob, I whipped him in the 4x1 and the 100 when we was in
No,
high
stop
school.
talking about. Get out of here. That's cap.
So you start balling, right? And now everybody wants to pick you,
Mhm.
right? This was a year and a half ago or so, or whenever it was, or less than a year ago. What allowed you to decipher right from wrong, fit from unfit? Like, how does that happen? Because I'd imagine you're the guy that didn't get invited to the party, and then everybody's throwing like a stretch limo out in front of you, being like, yo, let me be your driver. Come on. And you had to figure out what was best for you.
Yeah.
Was that a challenge? How did you process?
Honestly, it was difficult. It was very difficult. But number one thing that I was able to kind of process was, and I'm thankful for my mom being there for me during that process, because she kind of helped me, weigh in the pros and cons of certain things. But, just family at the end of the day. I kind of had to put my dreams aside that I wanted to do and look at the bigger picture. I mean, I have a family. I have a kid here that I want to be there for, as much as I can. So, and then also for my mom and my sisters, I want to be there. I want them to come to my games as well, too. So, and then also just, when I got that phone call from Coach Fish, it was just like a no-brainer, pretty much. This is one of my dream schools growing up. So just like all just kind of meshed into one big thing, and we just went from there.
Okay, so take us into the meeting with Jed,
Mm-hmm.
and not necessarily when you decide to go, but just overall, like how does your relationship begin, and then how has it grown, and where does it sit today?
I would say the first call I got from Coach, just his personality that he had. Me and him, we have this joking personality between each other. Me and him joke around all the time, and that's something I kind of enjoyed when I first got on the phone call. That he was throwing jokes at me a little bit that kind of made it comfortable, and kind of made me feel at home a little bit. And ever since I got here, me and him crack jokes almost every day. But when we get serious about football. But it's just that family environment that I've been looking for, and I'm happy that I'm here. I made that decision.
Yeah, I met your head coach back in 2009. We both were visiting the Seahawks the same day. He ended up going and coaching there under Coach Carroll. I ended up pivoting to the media and have been able to watch him at a bunch of different stops, whether it was in college or the NFL. If you were to encapsulate his leadership approach as one of the veterans now on the team, how would you do so?
He just has this energy about him that people, they believe everything he says and they trust everything that he says. I would say that, which makes him a good leader of this program, that, everything he says, it happens, and the way that he goes about, practice or, all the mental things that go into the football game and stuff like that. So everything he says, he knows what he's talking about, and everyone knows that too. So it's just at the end of the day, you got to trust him. Everyone trusts him. I trust him. So I think that's what makes him such a great leader over here, is that he knows what he's talking about, for sure.
Yeah, I just love hearing that about the guy at the top. And then as you dive down, whether it's Brennan Carroll or Coach Cummings, your position coach, or Jimmy D, coaching the quarterbacks, like it seems like there's this vibe that just permeates the entire staff.
Oh yeah.
Do you like, how would you describe the health of the environment you get to walk into? Because they hadn't won for a long time, and now all of a sudden this thing is turning around.
hmm Yeah, and it started off with the environment that Coach Fish wanted to change after last year, and it's definitely that family environment that he first told me over the phone when I called him, when he called me when I entered the portal, that we have that he wants to change this program around with family environment, doing everything the right way. So every time I come up here, I get a good morning from coaches, and get smiles on their faces every single day, wanting to come up here and work. So I think that's just that environment that I was really, really looking forward to. And I really, seeing what Coach Fish said back in January about the family environment, now seeing it, it's definitely true. And it's definitely something that I really enjoy.
Yeah, well, I'll tell you what I enjoy, man. I enjoy watching you play. I don't know if you know this, but in college, my first 2 years, my roommate was a guy named Antonio Bryant, who won the Blitnikoff. And my last 2 years, this guy named Larry Fitzgerald, who won the Blitnikoff.
Wow.
So they both took my jobs. I didn't play as much as either one of them, but they were clearly talented. And what I noticed about both of them as they competed at a high level was they just had a different focus. Like one that was just, it was like it saw through all the trees or all the haze or whatever you want to describe that with. For you, like how do you attack the day knowing you have this great goal and knowing that you have like the next step in front of you to take?
Yeah, I think one of those things that that I kind of think about while I'm going through practice or even working out. It's just it's like this metaphor that I was told by one of my coaches. Like as soon as you can break through a wall with like your mental and kind of get past the being tired or exhausted or hurt, or if you can break through that wall, you can pretty much do anything and you can continue for a long time. So that's how I pretty much go about it. As soon as I can break through that mental wall of being tired or whatever it may be, nothing can stop me at that point. So I think that when I kind of figured that out my freshman year of high school, I never turned back from that.
Wow, freshman year of high school. So you're like 14. How did you just try it when you hit the wall?
No, it was my mom.
How'd you figure it out?
My mom,
Yeah.
she was like, one day it was during the summer, she came out with me, she helped me work out a little bit, and I'm like, hey, like, I'm tired, like, I think we should stop. She's like, no, like, and that's the metaphor that I got from her and also my coach, that they said the same thing. And I was like, whoa, like, what's going on? And so I was like, okay, like, let's just continue, see what happens. And no, they were right. Like, as soon as I just broke through that wall, I was like, okay, I'm not tired anymore. I can keep going. And I just, ever since then, I just kept going.
Dude, your mom is amazing. What's her name, and how would you describe her parenting style on you?
How would I describe it? Every day growing up, she would always say, before she would leave to work, or even me and my sister would go to school, she'd always say, make the right decisions. Anything that you do during that day, just make sure you do the right thing. And when it comes to even training with sports, if you cut reps short, you're not doing the right thing, this and that. So I kind of put that in my day as well. So when it comes to sports, just doing the right thing, make sure that you're working out, doing all the reps and sets that you need to do to become that better version of yourself. And she was a all-star volleyball player back in her day. So she kind of knows that work ethic. So she just kind of translated it from her onto me, and that's where I'm at today.
Wow, what's her name?
Nicole Parker.
Nicole. Do the right thing. Mm-hmm. Come on now. That is amazing. So psychology would say that you can train three things. Mm-hmm. You can train your body, which you do all the time, working out. Yep. You could train your craft, running routes, catching the jugs machine, what have you. And you can train your mind, as you just described. How have you taken that moment as a freshman and added layers and depth to it to make sure that you are training your mind as you sit here in basically the mental skills room of your facility?
Yeah, I think it's just that reminder that you got to tell yourself every day. I think it starts with training your mind before you train your body and all the other stuff. It starts with the mind, because if you have a bad mental, you're not going to want to work out. You're not going to want to come and do all the extra work. So I say that if you can train your mind right early, as fast as you can, get on that good path. All good things can come your way, for sure. That's how I think about it.
My second favorite part of the facility that you're sitting in is when you walk out of that room, you walk into the hallway and you see a litany of faces and it says real life. And you have these real life conversations, whether it's Pete Carroll, Bill Belichick, Sean McVay, Zach Taylor. So many different people have come across that team room. Since you've been there, what's the one or two that have impacted you most?
I would say it's a good tie between Bill Belichick and Sean McVay. I've always watched Bill Belichick. I mean, ever since I was a kid, and him with the Patriots and Tom Brady and all of them, and always watching those. What was it called? The Hard Knocks or the 30 for 30s. Just watching those and just hearing what he has to say and how he goes about his mindset for his team. And now I got to see him in person. I got to meet him, hear what he has to say and what he looks for in certain players and stuff like that. Kind of helped me train my mind a little bit in a different way to kind of better prepare myself for that next level, hopefully.
Amazing, man. It's personal. It's such a big phrase there. How does that land on you?
I actually really like that saying because going back to what we were saying in the beginning about, people think I'm too small. I mean, I take that personal. I mean, I don't know why you got to look at me as just a small player, not look at me as what I'm producing on the football field. So I take that personally that you're judging me before you even know who I am. So when I heard that saying here, it's personal. I mean, I was just kind of something I'm like, okay, like I know I made the right decision coming here because, I mean, just as Arizona football, a lot of people just don't respect Arizona football. I don't know why, but I think it's just a kind of good combination that it's personal and make everything personal and just prove everyone wrong.
Yeah, I'm with you there. I think there's something that's beautiful about the duality of that phrase, right? Like it's personal to you, you're developing personal relationships. What's this receiving room like? Because you got a lot of new faces in there and you're kind of the old one in there.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I mean, I've never been the old guy in the receiving room. So it's definitely a different environment, but a lot of young guys, a lot of great talent in there. Everyone's hungry to eat. Everyone's hungry to get on the football field. And we kind of just, we compliment each other. We always, hey, let's get some extra catches. Let's go over film. Let's do this. Let's do that. Everyone in that room is just always wanting to do extra work. So for years to come for the receiving room, it's a bright, bright future for each and every one of those guys in that room.
All right, so I call this the final five. It's the final five questions of our conversation here.
Okay.
Number one, and just give me your immediate answer. The best advice you've ever received is what?
Don't live in the past. Move forward and just live in the present and go from there.
Worst advice? What's the worst advice you ever received?
So it was in high school. And I got from one of my coaches, he's like, oh, yeah, you don't need to lift. You don't need to do none of that, this and that. Like, it's fine. Okay, I kind of listened to him, and it hurt me because I didn't, get my body to par for when, certain colleges were coming in and scouting me.
Wow, what a great lesson to learn. Like, you just can't turn it off.
Yeah.
Coach Carroll used to teach us that. He'd say being in a relentless pursuit of a competitive edge of all times. And even now as a broadcaster, like if you looked at my call sheet, it would say that at the bottom of it.
Yeah.
So you'll never turn that off. That's a catalytic moment for you.
100%.
Okay, third. I've seen this on social media.
Okay.
Batman or Robin for you, man? You and Delora.
We keep going back and forth with this one, but I'm definitely Batman for sure. I mean, I'm older. I mean, I kind of got the car to go with it, the whole theme. And, I think I'm just Batman at the end of the day.
There it is.
Yeah.
It's settled, man. It's settled.
It's
done
settled,
and done.
right there. Done deal.
Yeah, written and recorded.
Exactly.
The show is titled The It Factory. I think the phrase "the it factor" is one of the most overused, misunderstood phrases in all of sports. But everybody has it. It's just hard to describe. How would you describe yours?
I guess that just having that kind of confidence within myself that, I have the ability to kind of do what I can do. But I just kind of, I got a God-given talent, so I got to put those talents and put them in the right way and kind of make something out of it, and just doing things the right way and just having that confidence in it.
It's beautiful. Your father, as you referenced, I've seen your little son, Chase, run around.
Yeah.
I love how you named him after Chase Lucas and saw that exchange between the two of you. But as a father, not as a player, you've had a lot of life experiences thus far. I want to know how you'd finish the following sentence. As a father, it all comes down to what?
Patience. Patience. You gotta have a lot of patience as when you're a father, and you know, a little kid. When they get to 2 years old, the terrible twos, you gotta have a lot of patience because they don't know no better. So kind of work with the punches and just lead them in the right direction.
Amen. How old is little man?
He's 2.5.
Wow. We're kind of right around the same age. We got a baby right around that age too, man.
Okay, I got you.
So I'm
right
with
on.
you.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
They're learning a lot of words, bro. A lot of words.
Oh yeah.
So much fun.
Oh yeah.
Well, dude, this has been a blast. Getting to know you on a different level, having you come into this platform to share who you are, and in the location you're at, the Fifth Quarter Room. I think it's been really a joy for us. So thanks for joining us, man.
Oh, of course. I appreciate you guys having me and kind of sharing my story.
Yes, there it is, Jacob Cowing. He's got a heck of a story, so many layers to it, and so much more to be written. I think that's something that we all took away from this. So with that said, I'm Yogi Roth. This is The It Factory. You know where to find us, pack-12.com/insider for all of your podcast and show needs. Thanks, everybody. Peace. It's The Afterglow. TJ Brasler, producer, myself, Yogi Roth. That was Jacob Cowing. I think he's an All-American. I think he's playing like the best receiver in the league thus far, and that's hefty praise. We know Jordan Addison's in the league. He's playing really well as well. But he shows up, dude.
Yeah.
He showed up, I thought, in this interview. I'm curious what stood out to you and what's something maybe you wish we asked him in our time together.
He definitely did show up in this interview for sure. There was a lot that stood out to me. There was a lot I took away from that. Honestly, one of the biggest things I think that caught me off guard was when you guys were talking about like kind of pushing through that wall and keeping going. And he was telling that story and I was like, okay, cool. And I was kind of expecting him to be like, yeah, like at this point in college or something. He was like freshman year in high school. And I was like, oh, okay. Like that said a lot about him and kind of the mentality he has. And I had a lot of questions. I think one of the biggest questions I had was when he was talking about like kind of his motivation and stuff like that. And when he was talking about how like he didn't really get recruited out of high school and ended up going to UTEP and stuff like that. I actually had a few questions. The first one was it hard to leave UTEP? Like they were one of the few schools that actually gave him a chance. And like, was it kind of bittersweet that he finally was getting all this recognition and moving on or not? And then the second one was when you were asking like about kind of staying motivated is how does he keep kind of having to create ways? Cause now he's no longer quite as much of the people underlook him. Like you said, he's one of the best receivers in the country, but like when you saw like you hear from Tom Brady or in the Last Dance with Michael Jordan, how they would create narratives for themselves to keep staying motivated. Like if he's kind of similar that way.
Yeah. I wish I asked him about what's your release, and maybe he would say fatherhood. Like, I just think that I believe this for players because I've talked to enough, I think, in the league and in college football that like when you play or have a teammate that has a child, like there's a different sense of urgency around the craft.
Yeah.
It just is. It's not, I can say that as a 40-plus-year-old man, like with 2 kids, like there's a different sense of urgency around everything, right? Whether it's providing or your passion or whatever it is to make sure you're throwing down, putting your best foot forward. I wonder like what his release is, right? And maybe he'd say playing with his son, but I also think you have to find something for yourself. So I'm going to ask him that when I get to campus.
Yeah.
So I'm curious, is it, he talked about visualization, talked about mental skills. I wonder if it is meditation, like if there is a world for him. Because he plays so steady, bro. Like, he's fiery, but he plays so steady. Like, I just feel like that's his persona. And I think to your point, his mom, and whether it was 6 years old, being, the last guy picked, or ninth grade to your point, or getting bad advice later on in high school. Like, all these things have shaped him into such a good dude. And man, I guess the biggest thing as I'm talking it through that stood out was what his mom told him every day before going to school. Like, make the right decisions. I love that. Just love that.
No, I agree. And you actually just touched on something else that I was thinking of, is that his bad advice, I think, was thus far in the season the biggest surprise to me, because like, what coach should ever tell an athlete, no, oh, you don't need to work hard. Like, you don't need to go lift. Like, that should never ever cross a coach's mind or an athlete's mind, because you should always be wanting to get better. So when he said that, I was blown away by that. And it's great that he's learned that lesson, because obviously it's paid off for him now that he's broken through that wall and is working so hard.
Yeah. Coaches don't say that. You know, I think it is important for coaches to cultivate balance in young athletes and high school athletes. But if they're asking you, like, should I keep working? Probably want to go with yes. Well, he was fun. We've wanted him on since he transferred in. Been around him in spring. Been around him already this season, and he's a catalyst, man. He is a catalyst, and this is a guy that could have gone anywhere in the portal. I mean, he was the #1 ranked receiver, I think, in the country in the transfer portal. He definitely was for me, for whatever that's worth in my evaluations. And he just plays with a different speed. And it was fun to unearth it, because now to the people at the next level that are listening to this, you're getting to see the essence of who Jacob is. You already see his form of how he is as a wideout, but he has got a lot to him. He's so driven, and he's so purposely built that I think he's as sure of a thing as you're going to find moving forward, man. So that was cool. Thanks for setting it up as usual. Nice job, TJ. Thank you for Arizona for making us, making that happen. And loved going in the fifth quarter room. Before we leave, what'd you think of that room, being a former athlete yourself?
I think that the idea behind that room is so cool, and then seeing it and seeing everything that's in there, I think that's an awesome room. I think that's a room I would definitely have been utilizing a lot for sure. But no, I think I love that. I love the concept behind it, and I know you're a big fan of it,
bro. The room is amazing. I mean, I took stuff from the room because I was like, this is gonna make me a better dad. They were cool with it. It was just one piece of paper, so it wasn't anything too nuts. But I'm in there taking a bunch of photos, and I'm saying to myself, like, yeah, you're just cultivating. Right? Even if you're hanging out in that room and you're not going through the series of, like, I have 11 questions in front of me, or any of the things that he described off the top of the show, it's just being reflective into your brain. Like, you're just seeing it, you're absorbing it. And what I love when I've talked to Jed Fish about that room on this show in the spring is that he wanted a place for his athletes to walk into where they could just look at a wall and process what they're going through emotionally, psychologically, whatever. I mean, you're not going to necessarily get like ice and stem in that room, but everything else in terms of your development. And I say that because I've seen every facility in this league dozens of times and a bunch around the country. In my career, I've never seen a room like this. And I told Jed this. I said I'd copycat it. And I've told coaches, I'm like, that room, every student athlete in every sport needs something like that. So props to the brains behind that, Jed Fish and his team. Amazing. Thanks again for allowing us to go into that room. TJ, thanks for you and all of your work. This is the It Factory. Share it, review it, kick it out to your friends. Arizona fans, I know you dig this one. Put it on all your message boards, because there's a lot of things you can learn about one of your favorite players who calls himself Batman. Let that debate begin. All right, we're out of here. Peace.